Say it?
How close did they get? You said the planes did not.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, we'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described.
2 Venezuelan F-16s scream across the Caribbean, afterburners glowing, just a few hundred feet above the water. Ahead of them, 2 U.S. Navy destroyers, each packing nearly 100 vertical launch cells and radars, powerful enough to track over 100 targets at once. So here's the question. What actually happens when Cold War-era jets try to intimidate one of the most advanced warships afloat today? The answer isn't just about missiles, it's about networks, layered defenses, and survivability. And once you see the massive imbalance, you'll wonder why Venezuela even tried this risky flyby in the first place. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
What happens if Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels again?
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, this was likely in response to that lethal strike that the U.S. took.
2 Venezuelan fighter jets actually flew over a U.S. Navy ship as a show of force.
At first glance, 2 supersonic fighters tearing low across the sea look like a danger no warship could ignore. Their speed, their noise, the shockwave of sound exploding over the water, it seems like an unstoppable strike aimed right at the heart of a surface vessel. But looks are deceptive. When you take apart what an older F-16 really is and weigh that against what a modern guided missile destroyer carries with it, the balance tilts so far in one direction it hardly counts as a real contest. This isn't a fair fight.
We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described.
That we received a statement following this report, essentially the Department of Defense calling this a provocative move that was designed to interfere. And these 2 F-16 Venezuelan fighter jets flew over the USS Jason Dunham, and the defense.
It's one fragile airframe against a ship built from the keel up to endure, absorb, and retaliate against threats coming from every direction all at once. The truth is that these jets were once respected. In their day, a lightweight fighter like the F-16 was agile and lethal, built around a single engine and meant to dominate dogfights. But time has a way of turning yesterday's cutting edge into today's liability. For Venezuela, sanctions and supply cutoffs meant critical upgrades never arrived. Even basic spare parts became scarce. Cockpits that in American service now house modern glass displays, helmet-mounted sights and data links remain stuck with analog dials and radars designed more than 40 years ago. These fighters don't just lag behind. They operate in conditions where even a simple mechanical failure can force an emergency landing.
But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position.
And that U.S. destroyer is one of 8 battleships. There are 2 other destroyers. There's a guided missile cruiser. Might even be a submarine nearby. They don't like
a higher level of tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela with this lethal strike that took place.
Back in 1982, Venezuela purchased 24 of these F-16 ABs. For a country with oil revenue and regional ambitions, it was a major step forward at the time. But military equipment ages fast. Without consistent access to American contractors, spare engines, and radar overhauls, the fleet shrank year after year. Today, observers estimate no more than 3 or 4 are truly flight-ready, which explains why flybys and short sorties replace any real attempt at show-of-force combat training.
I would say that you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do. All right?
It's tough to call it an operation because the Pentagon loves the word operation, but they haven't really named what this is, what this mission is. We don't know.
That number alone tells a story. A fleet that was once a squadron has shriveled into barely more than a handful of aircraft barely holding on. Think about how different the risks are between a single jet and a modern destroyer. A fighter in combat is a thin shell of aluminum and composite wrapped around fuel tanks, hydraulics, and one engine. A single missile hit, even a few fragments in the wrong spot, means instant loss. Compare that to an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer designed with watertight compartments, thick bulkheads, and layers of Kevlar protection woven into critical areas.
Say it.
How close did they get? You said the planes did not.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down.
But the U.S. is seemingly indicating that they will go after more alleged drug cartel members.
And the Pentagon, highly provocative move. It's the first time F-16 fighter jets have been scrambled close to U.S. destroyer in that region.
Even when struck, a destroyer is designed to keep fighting. Redundant power systems, backup generators, even multiple fire suppression networks allow the ship to take damage, isolate the problem, and recover. One is a glass spear, the other is a fortress at sea. Technology widens that gap even further. The radar guiding those Venezuelan jets was made to track small numbers of air targets, scanning within a limited cone, struggling against electronic interference, and offering far less precision than modern systems. On the ship's side sits the Aegis combat system, linked to phased array radars so powerful they can track and process more than 100 targets in different domains at once. That means while an F-16 struggles to pick up a target against sea clutter, the destroyer can already identify the jet by type, lock its flight path, and cue multiple weapons before its pilot even knows it has been painted. And what if that pilot, against staggering odds, attempted to fire? He would burn through a very thin corridor jammed with defenses. Long-range SM missiles stand ready to swat a jet out of the sky before it ever closes the distance. If one leaks through, the ESSM medium-range interceptors close the gap, firing in packs to raise the density of fire. Should either layer miss, the last tier is brutal. A 6-barrel CIWS, spewing 20mm rounds at over 4,000 per minute. Against such a wall, the question isn't how the jet forces itself through, but whether its pilot even makes it to the edge alive. This is where the imbalance becomes absolute. The destroyer survives by design, redundant and layered. The fighter survives only by not being detected. One missile hit ends it. One radar lock ends the illusion of surprise. Where the ship absorbs damage, the jet disappears in fire. Yet this inequality didn't just neutralize the Venezuelan gesture, it offered a prize to the Navy. By flying close, Venezuela gave the destroyers a chance to record flight signatures, radar profiles, and real-world tactics, turning a show of defiance into a live intelligence gift. The flyby was never a serious danger to the destroyers. What it gave the Navy instead was raw data, engine signatures, radar emissions, and tactics that could be cataloged and used to refine defenses. In the world of modern conflict, that kind of information can be far more valuable than the jets themselves. So what do you think? Was this bold defiance meant to show presence, or was it a reckless risk that handed over intelligence on a silver platter? Let me know in the comments, and remember, against a layered battle network, bold maneuvers vanish before the ship can blink.